Have you ever believed her past doesn't matter, that what happened before you has no power over your future? That's the lie society keeps whispering. Marcus Aurelius said, "The truth is not harmed by being questioned, but lies are. Her past is never gone. It walks with her, and if you ignore it, it will walk into your life." Core message from childhood: we've been told, don't judge a woman by her past, only by who she is today, yet Seneca warned. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. The past doesn't vanish. Shit reshapes her mind, her habits, her expectations. Every lover, every breakup, every reckless night leaves scars that become her present. Imagine taping two pieces of paper, tearing them apart, then trying again. The tape loses its grip. Pair bonding, the ability to form deep trust and loyalties just like that. It's not merely romance. It's biology. And biology doesn't bend to wishful thinking. Scientific and real world. Prospective research shows women with multiple partners before marriage are far more likely to divorce than those with only one. Not because they are bad people, but because chemical bonds like oxytocin, the hormone of attachment, become weaker with repetition. Epictetus said, "You are disturbed not by events, but by your view of them." If you view the past as irrelevant, you'll walk blind into patterns science already proves. Application for men: many men are blindsided. They think they're starting fresh, but they're competing with invisible forces, memories, comparisons, old wounds. Think of the man who marries without asking questions. He believes love will shield him, but the ghosts of her past betrayals, traumas, desires do not stay buried. They will demand your attention. Closing of Part 1. The Stoics teach us clarity is strength. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone can show me I'm mistaken, I'll gladly change, for I seek the truth." The truth is uncomfortable, but vital. When you ignore her past, you don't erase it to inherit it. If you refuse to see this, you'll pay with your peace, your trust, and your future. The bond that weakens every time a woman bonds with a man. Her brain releases oxytocin, the same hormone that ties a mother to her newborn child. It builds trust, attachment, and loyalty. But here's the catch. Oxytocin dulls with repetition. Tear the bond apart enough times, and it never glues the same way again. Marcus Aurelius warned, "What is repeated often becomes habit, and habit can reshape the soul." The dulling of connection. Think of a photocopier. The first print is sharp. By the 50th, the image is faded. By the 200th, it's barely recognizable. That's what happens to deep connection after countless cycles of attaching and detaching. The more times it happens, the weaker the imprint. A man who ignores this truth may find himself holding a bond that feels shallow, no matter how hard he tries. Dopamine and the search for novelty, but it's not just oxytocin. There's dopamine, the brain's pleasure chemical. Every new partner gives her a rush of novelty like a drug. Over time, the baseline rises. What once thrilled her becomes ordinary. Seneca wrote, "An overabundance of pleasure leads to disgust." And that's why stability can start to feel like boredom, even if she claims she craves it. Real-life picture, we see this in modern dating culture. Endless swiping. Short-lived relationships, constant search for excitement. Each new experience raises the bar higher. What's safe feels dull, and what's chaotic feels alive. A man who enters at this stage isn't competing with one rival, he's competing with her own history of highs. Closing of Part 2, Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be. Then do what you have to do." As men, we must recognize these patterns without bitterness, but with clarity. If you fail to see how biology and psychology shape attachment, you'll step blindly into a bond already weakened by time and repetition. The weight of memory, every past relationship, leaves an imprint. A new man never enters a blank slate. He enters a story already written. She compares sometimes silently, sometimes in arguments. If an ex made her feel a certain thrill, that ghost can reappear in the present. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Her thoughts of the past color the way she sees you today. Projection and inherited wounds. Psychologists call it projection. When old wounds are pasted onto new people. If she was cheated on, suspicion follows you. If she loved chaos, she may crave it again, even while asking for peace. Epictetus reminded us, it is not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. Yet many men find themselves reacting to scars they didn't cause. The invisible burden a man may enter believing he is her fresh start. In reality, he inherits the echoes of every betrayal, every heartbreak, every standard set by men before him. Think of it like carrying another man's debt. You didn't spend it, but now you're asked to pay it. Seneca said, "He who suffers before it is necessary." Suffers more than necessary. And this is the trap-bearing pain that was never yours. Closing of part 3, the past doesn't stay buried. It intrudes, it shapes, it demands recognition. A wise man doesn't hate it, but he sees it clearly. Because clarity is protection. Without it, you risk being judged not for what you've done, but for what others did before you. The body count debate modern culture tells men not to care. Only insecure men ask about her past, they say. But this isn't about morality, it's about psychology. Pair bonding is like glue. The first bond is strong, the 10th weaker, the 50th almost gone. Marcus Aurelius warned, "You must understand the nature of things. Only then can you act rightly." And the nature here is clear repetition weakens attachment. The cost of repetition studies show women with higher numbers of partners face dramatically higher divorce rates. Not because they are evil, but because their brains have been rewired for novelty, not stability. Seneca observed, "An unlimited desire leads to endless dissatisfaction." Each experience raises new comparisons. One man made her laugh, another gave her thrills, another had wealth. Now, instead of bonding, she's silently measuring. The silent competition, a man thinks he is starting a new story, but in truth, he competes with memories. Ghosts of past lovers linger in her expectations. You are compared in ways you may never hear, but you will feel in her distance. Epictetus taught, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. And, yet most men ignore what is in plain sight, the patterns of her past. Closing of part 4, this isn't about hate, it's about foresight. When her bonds to you are weaker, your risks are greater. Infidelity, disconnection, divorce. The wise man does not shame her history, but he does not blind himself to it. For blindness is not love, it is self-betrayal. The financial cost of divorce isn't just emotional, it's financial devastation. Courts don't ask who was at fault, they ask who pays. Alimony, child support, legal fees of hard work gone overnight. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What is not good for the hive cannot be good for the bee." And a man tied to the wrong partner often finds his entire legacy put at risk. The mental cost, but money is only part of it. The real price is your mind. Many men step into the role of therapist, trying to heal wounds they didn't cause. Suspicion, constant arguments, pressure to be perfect, it drains even the strongest. Epictetus warned, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. But when every move is judged through the lens of her past, stop improving and start defending." Losing the mission, the greatest danger is distraction. A man without purpose loses himself. Instead of building his body, his work, his empire, he spends his energy chasing her approval. Seneca wrote, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." And that's what happens when your focus is scattered. Your mission dies while you try to fix what isn't yours to fix. Closing of part 5. This is why caring about her past isn't insecurity, it's survival. Ignoring reality doesn't make you noble. It makes you vulnerable. The Stoics teach that clarity and courage preserve a man's destiny. Without them, you risk losing not just money or peace, but the very purpose that makes life worth living. Why men ignore the signs if the patterns are so clear? Why do men still overlook them? The answer lies in hope, guilt, and shame. Hope whispers, "I'll be the exception. She's different with me," but Marcus Aurelius reminds us, hope is a wrong kind of comfort. For it is only a wish for things beyond our control. History doesn't erase itself because you walked in. The trap of guilt. When a man questions her past, the guilt trip begins. Why are you insecure? Real men don't care. And so he silences himself, believing protecting his future makes him toxic. Epictetus said, "If you want to be free, learn to accept reality." Yet guilt blinds him to reality, chaining him to choices that may destroy him. The weight of shame. Shame is the final leash. Walk away and you're called judgmental. Ask for standards and you're labeled controlling. Seek purity and you're outdated. Society brands caution as weakness. Seneca warned, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." Many men fear labels more than consequences, and so they march into ruin. Real life lessons. Look at headlines. Powerful men billionaires. Athletes, actors undone not by enemies, but by ignoring red flags. Hope, guilt, and shame blinded them. Their fall wasn't sudden. It was built on denial. Closing of Part 6. The Stoics teach that clarity is strength and courage is freedom. When men surrender to hope, guilt, and shame, they abandon both. A wise man doesn't despise women. He simply refuses to lie to himself, because the cost of self-deception is always greater than the cost of truth. Seeing reality clearly, her past has not erased it, is a preview of your future. If she has walked away before, she can walk away again. If her life was built on chaos, stability may bore her. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your judgment about it." A wise man judges clearly, not blindly. The false hope. Many men think, "I'll be the one who changes her. My love will be enough," but history does not lie. Patterns do not vanish because you wish them away. Seneca warned, "It is foolish to ignore what has destroyed many." Hope is not a strategy. Denial is not protection. Choosing wisely. So what should men do? First, choose wisely. Having standards is not insecurity, it is foresight. Second, walk with purpose. A man focused on building himself doesn't beg for approval, he commands respect. Third, refuse to carry what is not yours. Her baggage is not your burden, her past is not your punishment. Epictetus said, "It is not your responsibility to cure the world, but to live rightly in it." Closing of Part 7. This is not bitterness, it is survival. When you see reality as it is, you reclaim control. You stop bleeding for ghosts and start building your destiny. In a world that thrives on lies, the most rebellious act a man can take is to live by truth.